my mom went and got her tubes tied, but she ended up having my little sister, and after that, she made sure she couldn't have kids again because my dad was terrible. I'm not trying to bash him, but that pain that he been through, he put it out on my mom, and it doesn't make it right, but it's a generational pattern. My dad was abusive to my mom. Once my mom had me, my dad was abusive to me. I remember one time he held me by my feet and he just hit me wherever with the belt. And my mom couldn't do anything because he would beat her. So at that time, I had 3 other siblings. I think my little sister was born then, but I had my older brother and my other sister. Those were the 2 oldest. My mom left at that point. Because she didn't want us to see that. Now, once my mom gave birth to me, I was a colicky baby. I cried all the time. A woman is supposed to have a smooth and peaceful pregnancy, but that wasn't the case for her. It was one time where he pushed her down the steps and she was pregnant with me. She still has the knot on her head to this day, and she doesn't like people to touch her because of how bad my dad used to abuse her. So once I was born, I used to be colicky, and I think even though my mom left my dad, I would still go and see my grandparents, which was his parents, and he stopped abusing me, but he was never there. Now remind you, I'm a little girl. Now all this stuff that happened to me, it wasn't my fault, but as I got older, I had to heal it, and I'm still healing from it. I'm surprised I'm not crying but it shows I'm healing, and I'm proud of that. But I used to jump, say if a person would try to give me a hug, I used to jump because I would be afraid if they were going to hit me, because my dad would always hit me, or he would always yell. It was always something. So my childhood, it was ruined. So my grandparents did try to make it better, but they never corrected him. When my mom tried to put him on child support, and I'm getting deep, y'all, because I don't got nothing to hide. I'm about to be real, raw, transparent, because being a generational curse breaker is no joke. Once my mom left my dad, my grandfather had it so my mom couldn't put him on child support. So my grandparents started to provide for us. But that didn't really help my dad, because it just showed him that I don't gotta take care of my kids. And growing up as a child, I always wanted my dad. I was a daddy's girl, I guess, because I wanted his attention. So as I got older, I would still go and see my grandparents, and I would see my dad. Sometimes he'll come by, but at that point, he went and had another family. He had other kids. So whenever I would see him at my grandparents, he would only come by to get money and leave. He'll give me a hug, but it was I gotta go. So with me growing up, I never really had my dad, and I've always had this question, why me? Why did you treat me this way? Now this did affect my relationships growing up. Once I got older and started dating, that's when I really had to break curses. I want to keep going though. Keep following me. So that was that. Being abused as a child, it made me I grew up liking to fight. Plus, I used to get picked on, even though this is a U-part wig. My hair is naturally curly, just like this. I used to have little puff balls in my hair, and this started when I was going to pre-K, elementary, and daycare. I used to get picked on in school by kids all the time. They would pick on my hair, they would pick on my shoes, and I felt like I had to be another person to satisfy other people. And at that moment, it took away from me being my authentic self. So that happened. I was abused and I got picked on in school. And I was picked on in school all the way till high school. And it got to it I used to fight. I had to go to 3 different always had food. You know, kids are very wise, and I am very gifted. So I was able to see things and understand things at such a young age. Like, I'm such an old soul. Like, when I was like 7, I had the mentality of like a 30-year-old. Like, I'm so wise. So growing up, when I was watching my mom relationship, I'm like, so as I'm getting older and my mom is still married into my stepdad, I love my stepdad, I'm not gonna knock him. I'm just telling you guys my experience in regarding me breaking curses. So growing up, like, I used to watch my mom be the breadwinner. My mom made the most money, so it was like my stepdad on the outside looking in, even though I was living with them, he had it made. Normally, the man is supposed to lead the household, then the women follow. In this case, my mom led the household. She made the most money, and my stepdad never did anything to take that load off of her. Now, like I said, my stepdad never took the initiative to get a better job. My mom always made the most money. Now, growing up, I'm thinking this is normal. I'm thinking this is how it's supposed to be, until like they would get into arguments and she would be like, I'm tired of taking care of all the bills, like, I need you to have me, which is true. A marriage is supposed to be 100 100. I want to talk about when I said 100 100 in a marriage. There's some marriages where a man would be like, I want to take care of the bills, and a woman do whatever. That's cool. But I'm talking about love and respect. It should be 100. It shouldn't be 50-50. That's gonna be for another video, but I just wanted to clarify that because it can lead from for assumption. Marriage is supposed to be 100 100. It should be an equal exchange. It shouldn't be one-sided, because if it's one-sided, it's going to be a bigger burden on the other person, especially if the partner is not trying to help. That doesn't make it good. It's a difference if the partner helps, but if the partner doesn't, that's not a good marriage. It's not equally yoked. It's not going to be successful no matter how hard you try. And that's what my mom and my stepdad did, and they're still doing it. But to each his own. Seeing it, I'm like, okay, this is normal. Then when I started to get on social media and see other people's life, I'm like, hold on, this is not normal. Now, I'm saying this to say I grew up watching my mom settle for less, because there was another man out there for her that could give her the world and that would, take care of the bills. It got to a point where she didn't need my stepdad because she took care of everything, like he was just there. Even though he paid like that 10 or 20%, she made the most money. So growing up seeing that, I watched her settle in life when it came to love. Now, remind you, I was abused as a kid. I used to get picked on in school, and as I was getting older, I was still fighting and getting picked on. I was watching my mom settle when it came to love. So once I turned 15 years old, I got my first job at Chick-fil-A. I got my first job. I had argue with my stepdad about the bills, and at this point I used to get mad at him, and me and him used to get into it. But I should have never, I had the right to be mad at him, but my mom should have left. The only thing that she did was teach us to settle when it comes to love, to don't move on. Catch me, I don't want to get too ahead. So I was 15 working. When I was 16, 17, I would watch them argue a lot. All of my siblings would, but I was the one that was arguing with him, like, you need to do this for mom, you need to do that for my mom. The whole time my mom was comfortable, even though she was fussing. Now she had her own childhood trauma, which led her in this situation, because her mom and my grandmother's mom, like, they never closed the cycle of knowing your worth. My mom doesn't know her worth because she's still with him and it's still the same, but I'm not gonna judge because of who am I. But I know for me, I'm gonna do different because I want different in my life. So as soon as I turned 18, my mom was like, it's time to start learning responsibility and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I had to pay a bill in the house, and this was everybody, even my brother. As soon as he got older, he had to start paying bills. So was my sister. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now, once I started to pay the bills, I started to feel away, because I'm like, hold on, if I'm paying the bills now with you and my stepdad, I should have said the grown folk conversation, because technically I'm legal. So I remember one day we had got into it with my mom. I got into it with my mom, and she put me out the house because I kept talking back. But I'm like, if I'm paying bills, I should have a say. And I would always come for my stepdad, because in my mind I'm like, why I gotta pay bills because you can't do your part. Now I don't know if she had us paying bills to help with my stepdad or to teach us responsibility, but it don't matter. That's not the way you teach people responsibility, because as soon as I had to say, she was like, stop being disrespectful. How am I being disrespectful when I'm paying bills? I should have a say. So she put me out, and I was at 18, and I moved in with my grandparents. Now, before she put me out, I had a boyfriend. Now it was very toxic, but I stayed for so long because I thought it was okay, because I seen my mom stay, even though it was unhealthy, even though he cheated. Now, my mom did cheat on my stepdad. I get it, she was unhappy, but it's no excuse. But I stayed in that relationship because that's what I seen her doing. And that heartbreak, it broke me. And that was the heartbreak that put me on my spiritual journey. And once I got older, like detoxes, and they got the job because it cleared their system. And they only use one detox. I use 2 different detoxes to really cleanse my system. This was through a temp agency. So I did my drug test, and the next day I started. Now, they never got my results back. I worked for like a week and a half. Then I got a phone call saying, your drug test came back and it was positive, so we gotta let you go. And in that moment, I was like, there's no way I didn't pass that drug test. But it was a sign. I wasn't meant to work for nobody, but I knew that. But I was operating in fear. One thing about my family, like, I witnessed them living in survival mode, living paycheck to paycheck, not properly managing money. So even though I was a little bit responsible, I had fear of, taking a leap of faith to be my own boss. So once they let me go, I was in my car and I cried. I'm like, God, what am I gonna do? I'm like, and in my mind, I was gonna DoorDash to pay my bills because my rent was like $400 because I was splitting it with my sister and my brother, and my car note was like $400, and my phone bill was it. I was gonna DoorDash to pay my bills. I was gonna get it done by any and all means necessary because with DoorDash, you pick your schedule, and I used to get orders. Like, I used to get the big orders, I guess, because I was doing it so much. It was so good. So after that, I was crying. I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Now remind you, I was still doing my YouTube videos. Remember, because they was during COVID, and they was supposed to send me a stimulus check after the lab job let me go. My stimulus check came, and I was able to pay my bills for that month. Now, I was supposed to get this check like 9 months ago. That check paid for my bills for that month. A couple weeks later, I got monetized on YouTube. After that month, I was using my YouTube checks to pay my bills, and I started making more and more money. But I was never supposed to go apply for another job. I was supposed to take a leap of faith and do the YouTube. But now, honestly, when I think about it, I was hustling so hard, like God knew that I was gonna be okay. But He needed me to take a leap of faith and trust the plan. A lot of people in my family, they have faith to a certain extent. Y'all, I got monetized a couple of days after I got the stimulus check. I don't know if I said a couple weeks or a couple of days. It was a couple of days. So that stimulus check took care of the bills for that month. The next month and moving forward, YouTube took care of my bills. Because at first, I was gonna apply for another job after the lab job let me go, but I was like, God, I give it to you. I was crying. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna give it to you. That stimulus check came in the mail. I was like, oh my God, like everything worked out. I did make a choice to not wanna work a 9 to 5 because I knew in my heart it wasn't meant for me. So that's why I was still doing my tarot. That's why I was still doing the readings on YouTube. And you guys, I have helped over 4,000 people. When my family started seeing me never leave the house, they like, how you paying your bills? I'm like, I get paid off of YouTube. And they like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, I'm the one in my family that broke the chains. Now, they were jealous and they didn't want to admit it, but I read energy. I felt it. I knew. I said this to say, don't allow your family generational patterns to hold you back, because I'm making the most money I've ever made, and I'm still overcoming my fears. It's like the generational patterns within my family are deeply rooted, so I'm still overcoming generational cycles. But I meant I wasn't going I'm more at peace when they're not around. Not everybody's family may be like mine's, but if your family sends you the evil eye or doesn't support you because you're breaking generational cycles, leave them alone because they can make a choice too. It's a song by Summer Walker, and it goes like, losing people, finding peace. When I lost my family, I found peace. And I even moved away from my hometown because I wanted to get away. Now, and they would reach out to me like, let's hang out. So I let my mom come over my house. And I had a money tree. I had this money tree for like 3 years. My mom came over my house and she touched my money tree. The next day, it completely died. Now, remind you, I had this tree for 3 years. My family are karmic, and everybody has karmic ways about them, but it's up to you if you embody it. My family still sends me evil eye. My family act like they support me, but they only want me around to help them financially. I remember I sent my sister $900 to pay her light bill, and I was okay with it because I had it, but I felt like I was always a handout or like an ATM, and I'm like, that's not fair to me because I made a choice to do better for myself. And also, I've also witnessed my other 2 sisters, like my mom. It's really about to get deep. My mom had 3 baby daddies, and that's cool. But my other 2 siblings are dealing with that. Like my other sister, she's a single parent. It's a generational cycle, and if you don't break it, like if my sister don't learn from these generational cycles, my nephew is gonna have to learn from them. And my other sister's currently pregnant, and we don't speak, but if she don't learn from these generational cycles, her daughter is gonna have to learn from it. So it is important to heal your bloodline if you want to live the life you truly desire. And yes, it is hard. And yes, it could be hard in the moment, but it is so worth it in the end. You guys, it is 2024. Every time I cut my family off, people made me feel bad about it, but I had to realize it's more healthier. I'm more healthier and happy when they're not around. And I made peace with that. But it took me forever because I kept allowing them back into my space. And whenever I would allow them back into my space, things in my life would go downhill in such a bad way. And I've made peace with it now. Like, I remember last year and the year before that, it got really bad because I wasn't letting them go, but I felt bad because they were family. But I had to realize, like, my peace of mind matters. And I had to understand that blood doesn't make you family, because my family was my worst enemy, literally. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. Now, everybody's family may not be like that, because I do remember when I was in school, I did have a few genuine friends. It was this one girl and Rebecca. We used to be in middle school together, ways you can do that is by journaling. I recommend you guys go get my journal. This journal has so much, it's like, go check it out. Don't say I didn't try to put you on. Like, this has been my best friend. Like, oh my God, especially if you overthink and want to have an outlet, use it. But understand, your younger self is still alive. You just got older and have more experiences. So if you keep your younger self happy, you will be happy in life. And the best thing I ever did in life was do what makes me happy and leave people alone and revoke access. Don't take anything personal. And I also want to say this before I close it out. Imagine if I never took a leap of faith and followed my dreams. I would still be in my hometown, probably working a 9 to 5, and it's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5. If you want to work a 9 to 5, cool. But if you want to be your own boss or want to do something different, don't let no one stop you. Now, I remember being my own boss. A lot of people talked fear into my plans, so I had to keep my life private. Because if you tell a person something and they don't want it to happen, they can delay it. They can delay it even though it's gonna happen anyway. Don't tell people your business, especially people that is not for you. And I'm just grateful that I went through everything that I've been through, because it's putting me on my best timeline. And now that I've finally let my family go, because you guys, it's been years where like I kept cutting them off, allowing them back into my life. Now I'm finally good and I made peace with it. Like, I'm okay. It took me a long time, but I am okay. I'm gonna say this: be the generational curse breaker. You can be the change. If don't nobody else want to be the change, you be the change. You do it. Have you? I had me. Nobody else had me. I had me. If nobody have you, have yourself. And if you are someone that has a loving family, I love that for you, because I didn't have that. Now, when I do have my own family, oh my God, I'm gonna give them the life I never had, and that's how I view life. I'm gonna give myself the life I didn't have. So view life that way. And another thing, do not allow people to guilt trip you. People will make me feel bad for cutting them off, and I even felt bad myself. It may make you feel like you're doing the wrong thing. No. Do not let nobody guilt trip you. Do not feel bad for wanting to be successful. And it's like, people tried to make me feel bad and for wanting to be a millionaire or whatever. What? If this is the life I want, I'm going to get it because I deserve it. And I had to really I had to reprogram my mind. I had to unlearn a lot and relearn, because these generational cycles, they are hard to break. And you will get tested on your journey to see if you learned from it. And understand this: when you're learning and growing, you're in your south node. Look up your birth chart. I'm spiritual because I'm gonna help you guys. If you look at your birth chart and study your south node, that is where you learn a lot. And your north node is where you see how good life can get. So when you overcome your south node, learn from karmic experiences, heal your shadow self, you open up doors to see how good life can get, and that leads you to your north node. And I'm gonna say this: prioritize your peace. Ask yourself, what is the life you want, and don't limit yourself. What do you want your life to look like? If you want to be 23 in a mansion, or 45 with a mansion, whatever you want, you